All right, so Terence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov it's being reported that fight's going to take place on August the 3rd in LA. Now, the undercard, apparently this is going to have, it's basically going to be Saudi involvement. There's a lot of PBC fighters, but then there's the zone fighters as well on there. So is Turki Al Sheikh just going to basically go into the American market and say, right, I'm here, I'm ready to work with people, let's work together? Because the rumoured card has PBC and the zone on it. So, on this video, because there's one fight in particular I really want to talk about, and I'll probably leave that fight till the end, because that's mainly what this video is going to be about. But Crawford versus Madrimov, I think that's a great fight. I think that's a really, really good fight. Isaac Pitbull Cruz, we all know Isaac Pitbull Cruz, we all know I'm a big fan of his, I love his style. He's fighting, reported to be fighting anyway, Jose Valenzuela. This one is a bit bizarre. Like, I don't really get it, to be honest with you. It's Leo Santa Cruz versus Abner Mares 3, the trilogy fight. Not that we really need a trilogy. Santa Cruz is 2-zip up, and Abner Mares lost the rematch to Santa Cruz. Oh god, it was a long time ago now. It's 2017, 2018. It's a long time ago. I think he's only fought once or twice since then. Now, I know Santa Cruz has done virtually nothing since he got knocked out by Tank Davis nearly 4 years ago now, come October. That was some knockout. Oh, boy. That was some knockout. Holy crap. But, yeah, that's just a bit of a, just a kind of okay. I don't see the point. Both guys are well past it at this stage, so it might actually make for really good entertainment. You never know. And also being reported on this undercard is, wait until you hear this. So Virgil Ortiz, we know, is fighting Thomas Delorme. All right, and I think that's a foregone conclusion he wins that fight. Apparently, if he wins, him versus Tim Tszyu is being planned at 154 pounds. Now, Tim Tszyu is obviously coming off the back of a loss to Sebastian Fondora, and I would have assumed they would have looked to do the rematch, but apparently not. At the end of the day, when Turki Al Sheikh and the Saudis are involved, rematches, even if there's a rematch clause, they tend to count for nothing. Parker and Zhilei Zhang have a rematch clause. What's Zhilei Zhang doing? He's fighting Deontay Wilder. Usyk and Fury have a rematch clause, a two-way rematch clause. Wait, let's see what happens there. Will there actually be a rematch, or will the winner face Anthony Joshua? That remains to be seen. So rematches, when the Saudis get involved, it just seems kind of, yeah. But the zone, Golden Boy, Virgil Ortiz, PBC, Al Heyman, and Amazon Prime, I guess, Tim Tszyu. When do we ever see these? We very seldom see them, and this is being reported. Now, obviously, he has to get through Delorme. He should get through Delorme, Virgil Ortiz. Delorme has seen better days a long time ago. So that's the reported card, but we're missing one fight, and this is the main one this video is going to be about, which is Andy Ruiz versus Jarrell Miller. Don't get me wrong, I like the fight. I'm just thinking that ring is going to have a serious amount of weight in it. Oh boy, they want to reinforce that ring. Andy Ruiz will have been out of the ring for basically 2 years. 23 months. Almost to the day, I think. If he's fighting on August the 3rd. So 23 months almost to the day out of the ring. Andy Ruiz fought Anthony Joshua June 1st, if I'm not mistaken, 2019. It's nearly 5 years ago. It's basically 5 years ago. Fought Joshua one more time, fought Areola, fought Luis Ortiz. That's it. 3 fights in 5 years. 4 if you count the first Joshua fight, but that's just not good enough. Simple as. It was inactive nearly 2 years. That's just not good enough. Miller, on the other hand, has been more active. He did take a loss in his last fight against Daniel Dubois. He looked terrible in parts in that fight. He looked terrible against Lucas Brown, to be honest with you. He still shows that he has decent whiskers, but he looks absolutely horrendous. He must be, well, I'm saying must be, he's still a bloody 300 plus pound man. He's still massive, but you'd wonder, is he off the juice? Because yeah, he probably is, because he doesn't have that silly, because his work rate back before he got popped in the going into the Joshua fight, which never happened, was insane. It's dropped off quite significantly since, but goddamn, he's still a big unit. And him against Andy Ruiz, I like the fight, don't get me wrong, I do like it. I really do. You know, I remember, I was watching Hatman's video on this, and I remember he was talking about, saying he'd done a video on that fight years ago, talked about it. It was in his post-fight to Fred Cassie versus Miller. That was one of the first times I ever seen Jarrell Miller fight. And he fought Fred Cassie, who... Fred Cassie is a tricky, durable journeyman. And he stopped Fred Cassie. I believe Fred Cassie hurt his hand in that fight, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it wasn't a clean stoppage, as in, you know, concussive stoppage or anything like that. I think Fred Cassie was injured. The only time I ever saw Fred Cassie stopped, and I would recommend, if you've never seen this knockout, go and watch it, because it's one of the biggest knockouts you'll ever see, was Fred Cassie versus Amir Mansour. That's one of the few times, I think maybe the only time, Fred Cassie's ever been laid out. And he wasn't just laid out. I mean, he was unconscious for several minutes. It's on YouTube. Go and look at it. Just type in Amir Mansour versus Fred Cassie knockout. Unreal. Steve Cunningham was commentating for it. It was on ESPN. And the commentator, I can't remember who the commentator was. It might have been, no, it wasn't Tessitore, but all you hear is, oh, he's down. Mansour has knocked him out. Go and look at it. Amazing knockout. But I remember Hatman talking about, in the post-fight review, about Ruiz versus Miller, and saying the battle of the Fatboys. And I did laugh, because they still are. It genuinely is the battle of the Fatboys. It's Burger King versus Big Farmer. Who comes out on top? We shall see. We shall see. I like the fight. Don't get me, I do like the fight. I genuinely do. I think it'd be entertaining. I think that's a distance fight. I'd be very surprised if either guy... They're heavyweights. They could prove me wrong. But I'd be surprised, because I think both guys have decent enough chins. I wonder about the long term, depending on how many rounds it is, if it's a 10 or 12 rounder. I wonder about the stamina long term, if it's certainly set at a high pace. If he was more active, I'd make Andy Ruiz firm favourite. If he was more active, I would make him a comfortable favourite. Nearly 2 years out of the ring, the inactivity. And with Andy Ruiz, see, with Miller's a big lump of a man, but there's muscle there. With Andy Ruiz, it's just all fat. And I don't trust him to come in any way. Like, he's never going to be in decent shape. But, goddamn, you know, 250s. It's not out there to ask that. But, God knows, been out of the ring nearly 2 years. God knows what shape he'll come in at. So that's the main fight. But, I mean, that is a very good card. A very good card. And I like the way... We've been hearing Turkey talk about wanting to get into, do shows in the UK, maybe some more Matchroom Queensbury shows. I even heard rumours from Frank Warren saying they might do a Matchroom Queensbury show in the York Hall. That'd be epic. I know the York Hall is a small venue. It's very small, but it's an epic little venue. And if they did like a Matchroom versus Queensbury, like Prospects, that'd be amazing, because, you know, Prospects can take a risk and have them in a clash early on in their career. Let's have a look at the fight that got announced today. Reactpor versus Billum Smith. They met early on in their respective careers. Reactpor won, but Billum Smith is the defending champion. Did that dramatically did that dramatically stall either guy's career, or certainly Billum Smith's? No. So get the Prospects fighting. Get a Telma versus Fisher, stuff like that. Get them fighting. Yeah. If you do it in the York Hall, well, you probably would do it in a bigger venue. Like, the York Hall's lovely, it's a brilliant venue, but you probably would want a bigger venue for that. But anyway, that's topic for another video. Let me know your thoughts on Jarrell Miller versus Andy Ruiz, if in fact it happens. Leave it in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you could. Peace.